I'm Marcos Fajardo. I was the owner of SolidAngle, now part of Autodesk, developing the Arnold render. Today we have Trevor Kerr from Kerr Motion Design. He's going to give us, he's going to show us the latest short film that he's worked on called Call of the Empire. And he's going to give us a little demo about how he's been using Cinema 4D with Arnold, with the plugin that we've developed for Arnold, and how he rendered it all in Cinema 4D. So I saw the short film yesterday. It looks really great, and I'm very happy to have Trevor here. Trevor, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, Marcos. So my name's Trevor Kerr. My website's kerrmotiondesign.com. I'm a freelance 3D artist, and today I want to talk about two things. One is actually the integration of Arnold into Cinema 4D, as well I also want to give an example of using Arnold, Cinema 4D, and X-Particles to scatter like massive amounts of foliage. So really, can I see a show of hands who knows Cinema 4D in here? Oh, wow. I feel at home. Awesome. And Arnold users, do you guys Cinema 4D, C4D to A? Of course. Okay, cool. So, whether you're a beginner or a kind of advanced user, there will be something here for you today. So, yeah, just a little background on this piece. It's like Marco said, it's a Star Wars short film, self-initiated project. It was really an exercise for learning for myself. I wanted to, kind of push the boundaries and do something like that I haven't done before. It was a 2-month production period, mostly produced by myself. And the entire piece is CG except for one shot with a TIE fighter pilot from the 501st Legion. So I'm just going to go ahead and play the video. Here we go. Oh. Do I have audio on here? Audio booth? I'm definitely spitting audio out. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Okay.
So just right click on the speaker icon, and playback, and set it into the headphone jack.
Got it. My bad. I can't set as default device. Well, worst case scenario, we'll hear it, I guess, without audio. Should I select this?
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. All right, this isn't my computer, so I apologize. All right, here we go, for real this time. So that whole piece was made in Cinema 4D in Arnold. Oh, thank you. You're too kind. So this whole piece was made in Cinema 4D in Arnold, and we did composite in Nuke. And so, oh, did I go out? Okay, never mind. I'd like to just, I guess, jump in and start off by walking through Arnold's integration into Cinema 4D, and then we'll jump into how I did the foliage scattering for all of that. So here we go. All right, so it seemed like not many of you are Arnold users. So to get to the Arnold integration, basically there are a few ways. One is through the plugins menu here, and we can add a bunch of objects, to our hierarchy. As well, there are a few managers here, but predominantly what I want to feature here is the IPR window. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that and just dock it here off to the side. Another way that we can interface with Arnold is through the render settings. We have our standard physical and everything else. However, we can select the Arnold renderer here, and it exposes all of the parameters here. So right here in sampling is where the meat of your image quality is going to be. You can increase, camera samples or the various different channels individually to optimize your render. It's very simple, just extremely easy to look at, and it's just very straightforward. As well, we have ray depth here. Under environment, you can add atmospheres. So, for example, you can make a fog shader or a volume scattering shader and drop it in here. There's also a background if you want in your beauty pass to have like a background image. Of course, there's motion blur, and we have both deformation and camera motion blur. And shutter angle here, is we have this slider right here for it, as well as enable toggle there. So there's a third way that we can talk to Arnold, and that is through what's called the Arnold Parameters Tag. So what I do here to get that is just right-click and find the C40A tags and go to Arnold Parameters. And so what you'll see is we have a bunch of options here that are very specific to polygon objects. So we have subdivision options, displacement options, which you can pipe displacement into your materials through your shaders, and then export features like position reference, vertex maps, etc., and then motion blur options. Now the very cool thing about the Arnold Parameters Tag is that if I take the parameters tag from here and just drag it over to the camera, the tag changes. So we have essentially one tag fits all kind of scenario happening here, where essentially the tag adapts to whatever object you put it on. So for example, here we've got camera. I can crank up the depth of field, aspect ratio if you want kind of like a more anamorphic lens kind of look, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to skip past lights and go to AOVs. So one of the other really super powerful things about Arnold is the Aov system. So Aov stands for arbitrary output variable, and the way we get to that is through the render settings. So there's this Aov tab over here, and we can bring up the Aov Manager. And we have quite a few preset options here. Z depth, which is actually measured in scene units instead of more traditional maybe RGB pass. We have position, normal, direct spec, direct diffuse, all these kinds of things that you're going to want in your composite. So I'm just going to select a couple of these and add them. And if I hit OK, what happens is we get an Arnold Driver, display driver over here. And you'll see all of those AOVs that I just added. Now, the very cool thing about this is I can then look at all of these AOVs in my IPR here, which is really good for diagnosing where your grain is coming from, for example, and then you can just increase the samples for those specific channels. So my favorite part about AOVs, though, besides this, is that you can create your own custom AOVs. So in this material here, I have what's called a curvature shader driving both the diffuse color and the diffuse weight of this standard material. If I want to look at that, all I have to do is shortcut Alt-W and press V, and it pipes my curvature shader. Here, let me move this. Pipes my curvature shader out right to the IPR, which is fantastic because now you can evaluate any point in your tree. So the same way that I can pipe it out to beauty, I can also pipe it out to an AOV. So the way I could set that up is I just add a AOV right RGB node. I pipe my shader into the pass-through, and then from the pass-through output we go into the beauty. And then whatever AOV I want to get out, I just pipe. So let's say I want the result of my range here. So you can see I kind of adjusted the range here of that curvature shader. And let's say that's what I want as my AOV output. So all I have to do here is pipe it into the AOV input and make sure that's connected to the beauty, and just type in the name. So in this case, we'll just call it curvature. And then I go back to my Aov Manager and just add a custom AOV called curvature. OK, and then we just hit OK. And now you can see I get that specific node that I wanted out as a AOV, which is fantastic. So a few other really quick evaluations you can do that are pretty interesting are in the utility shader. So if I just take a look at our utility shader here. Oops. And switch this back to beauty. So I have a bunch of different evaluations that I can do for the surface. So for example, I can get UV and map something in post. I can, object IDs based on object name. All sorts of different evaluations that I can also pump out to custom AOVs, which is absolutely fantastic. OK. So the next thing I want to show you guys is that foliage scattering. So the way that that I figured out to handle foliage scattering for this particular project was from using X particles and Arnold scene source files being scattered procedurally. So let me go ahead and shut down the IPR here. And I'm going to go to this scene that I've built, and we'll just close the IPR out. OK, so are any of you familiar with X particles? Show of hands. OK, we've got a couple people. So X particles is a third-party software as well. In this case, I use it for the scattering, its scattering capability. So a really great thing about the emitter is I can take the emitter, and right now it's in a very tiny rectangle shape down there. I'm going to switch it to object mode, and I can actually just drop this C4D landscape in, and you're going to see that we start populating with X particles. So what I want to do is there are various ways to scatter over the surface. Polygon area will give you just like a random sampling over the surface of the polygons. But what we can do here is actually take a Cinema 4D material, and we'll call this scatter, and drop it on our landscape object. And you can add any kind of maps that you have or whatnot. Like let's say you have slope from World Machine or something like that, and we can use that to actually drive our particle emission. So in this case, though, I'm just going to use a C4D noise. And I'll switch this to wavy turbulence, and we're going to adjust the clip here and just kind of clamp these off so that we have a really recognizable pattern. And then we'll go back into our XP emitter and switch this to texture and drag the texture tag in. Oops. It's a little farther down. Into the texture tag dialog. So now, when I emit, you can see we're only emitting from the area that was white in the image. Okay, so there are just a couple other things we have to do to make this useful for foliage scattering. Right now the particles are slowly rising. We don't want trees rising, at least in this particular application. So what we're going to do here is if we go to Object, we can hit Stick Particle to Source Object. And so now you'll see they're just spawning and staying attached to their emitter. So the last thing we want to do is go to emission rate and change it to shot, which is going to, right now it's set so that on frame 1, we will be emitting 1,000 particles. And this is how we're going to build our foliage scatter. So this is where Arnold comes into play. And what we're going to do is bring in a Arnold Procedural. I've gone ahead and pre-built a tree that I'm going to go ahead and load in here. Okay. So this tree is already packed with shaders and everything. It's about 3 million polygons. And I'll go ahead and load it up in the IPR really quickly as just a quick test before we go ahead and scatter a few thousand of these. There we go. So with this, it takes just a moment to load, and you can see we have our tree here. It's a fully polygonal tree, 3 million, I think, it's loosely 3 million polygons. Increase the intensity of our sky just a tiny bit. And there we have it. So we're going to take this and then scatter it across those particles. So the way that we do that is by adding the Arnold Parameters Tag, which is going to expose, oops, that was incorrect. It's going to expose these parameters. So right now, we would, if I were to start the IPR, we would be rendering the points as spheres. We want to change that to custom, and now we can drop anything that we want in there. And essentially, it's going to act like a cloner, and copy those onto the particles. So all I have to do is drag my procedural into the custom shape, and then we'll rescatter. Okay. Oh, lastly, I almost forgot, is under emission, we want to, we're going to give it a radius of 100. We're going to give the variation, we're going to give it a bit of a variation since we're only using one tree right now. So they're not all exactly the same height. And lastly, under extended data in the XP emitter, we're going to hit use rotation, change the mode to random, and we're going to give it a random heading, which means it's going to randomly rotate the trees this way when we scatter, so that they're not all like facing exactly the same direction and have the same profile. So I'm just going to rescatter that, and we'll go ahead and load up the IPR. And there we go. So we have 1,000 trees right now, 3 million polygons each. Now, I know you're going to look at this and say, this is a nice little cube thing you've got here, but in your piece, it was, mountains and, something that we would consider to be a little larger in scale. So I've gone ahead and set up just a quick example of one of the scenes from the piece, actually using the particle system that I used on the piece. Just make sure I've got everything enabled there. The only difference here is that I'm using 7 different 7 different particles that are each associated to a separate Arnold Procedural. So I have like a few different tree types and whatnot in here. So that should be it. We should just be able to go ahead and hit the IPR window. Now this does take a second, but I want to call attention to the fact that I'm using a laptop to do this. So it should take about 10 to 12 seconds for us to see the result. And then at the same time, I'm going to call up the console just so we can see exactly how many polygons we're looking at across all these trees. I also want to call attention to the fact that we're using less than 5 gig of RAM to do this. But if I scroll up here, oh, there it is. Right at the top there, you can see visible triangles. We're at 984 billion polygons. So, and you know, we can navigate this pretty well still. Let me go ahead and spin this down. I can take a look through the camera. You can see we actually have, I mean, keep in mind I'm on a laptop here, you know, quite decent, you know, maneuverability and whatnot as well. It's still quite responsive. So I think I'm probably already past my time. So that's going to do it for my presentation. However, I just wanted to play you just a really quick recap of some of the, you know, so you can see just a little bit of what I just spoke about in context. All right, thank you.